Well, it's obviously been a little break here for us heading into finals, and you know, we've tried to take our time this week and recover after you know, a pretty hard stretch going from the Big Ten Challenge through Nebraska, and we were able to hopefully physically, you know, get our guys you know, back with a little bit of freshness as they balance academics, you know, mix in, you know, your working practices, and then you know, preparing for Saturday's big game, you know, in Indianapolis against you know, very good, very skilled Notre Dame team, and they can really shoot the ball from typically 5 positions on the floor at times. They're traditional, you know, in their MO of not turning the ball over, very hard to speed up, and do a very good job of playing together. You know, very poised team offensively. So we have our work cut out for us defensively, in particular. It's something that we've tried to hammer home after the last few games of really identifying some things we can try to get better at. We know that, you know, heading into conference play defensively is where you're going to have to hold your hat in our league, and you know, we'll see Saturday. It's going to be obviously a very difficult cover for us, and you know, hopefully we'll be ready to roll with an early tip.
Questions this side?
Coach, how do you feel about events like this, doubleheader, playing in Indy, all eyes on the state, kind of watching all 4 teams and such?
You know, it's a great event. The environment in Bankers Life is, you know, postseason type of feel. You know, there's a great crowd. There's a lot of buzz around the city. Being in Indiana, you know, obviously it's a huge deal for our team and our fans as we come into Indianapolis. We have now a group of, you know, players that are from the state, you know, so it's a great opportunity to play in that environment, and you know, I think we take it very, very serious, just in explaining things to our guys and trying to talk about it. You know, heading to Madison Square Garden was a great chance for us to play in that similar setting of a doubleheader. There's a lot of buzz around the game. I think this is very similar, and for us, you know, we have to be ready. We have to be very responsible. It's an opportunity for us to represent, you know, not only our university, but now we have some players here that are representing where they grew up as well, so it means a lot to them.
You talked about how little they turn the ball over. They also don't really foul at all either. I mean, you talked about wanting to get in transition and get to the free throw line, do things like that. How much will they test some of those things that you really?
Yeah, you know, they're as good as there is in college basketball of not fouling. They're very disciplined. You know, they don't play a ton of guys, so they have good chemistry. They're smart, and they're you know, very intelligent in their approach. It's something they do a really good job of. It's something that obviously we aspire to do a good job of as well. You got to play hard, play smart without fouling. It's huge in keeping not only your best players on the floor, but you're keeping the other team off the line. When you flip that and you look at our style of play and what we try to do with our depth and you know, hopefully our transition game, our ability to attack offensively, you know, we're trying to get fouled. So you know, it's sort of that balance of style of play. You know, can we execute? Can we do a good job of finding a way to you know, run good offense? Can we do a good enough job of working you know, longer into the clock offensively to find good possessions where you can find a way to get fouled? But you know, it's a game within a game. You know, your style versus their style. They have a lot of things that they do really well. One of them is they play really good team defense. They're very smart, and they're disciplined, and they don't beat themselves in terms of you know, unnecessary fouling. And it's a big thing for us on the other end, obviously, to attack. But it'll be one of the storylines in the game: is can we get to the foul line? Can we find a way to continue to play the way we've been playing offensively to dictate that? And you know, our hope is that we're able to. You know, I think it's something that we have done well, but you know, I think that Notre Dame does a good job on their end of that as well.
Mike?
When you're playing against a team that likes to put as many as 5 out on the perimeter shooting threes, and obviously your scheme is, you know, generally trying to push guys out to the perimeter and take contested threes. I mean, it seems like an inherent conflict and a challenge for your scheme. What are you trying to get accomplished against a team like that?
Well, I mean, you know, you're not going to shut teams down that are that skilled, especially when you have front court players like they do who can shoot it. At times, they're very difficult to guard because they're random. They run good motion and they play together. So it's not as if you're just, you're defending certain players in set plays or something like that. They get them in transition. They get them after a lot of movement with their motion. They're hard to guard. I mean, they've been like that for a long time with Coach Bray and his system and how he likes to play. And, defending the three really, it comes down to a lot of things before they get the shot up. You got to do a really good job in transition to eliminate the easy ones. That's where teams get most of their threes. In the half court, the better you are guarding the basketball, the better you are doing a really good job of containing the dribble drive, so to speak. That's a second area where you don't collapse your defense and give up a lot of threes in that area. And then, trickiness of ball screen defense. There's a lot of different types of ways that you set them. When they go skilled, they have a lot of different guys popping all over the floor. So then it comes down to your system and being able to execute. And that's communication with us. If you take it back to the Wisconsin game, it was as poor of a communication and poor of an execution defensively to start that game as we've had, just in terms of being able to really, really understand how important defending the three is, especially from the front court. And we're going to have to be much better in this game than we were a few weeks ago when we defended a couple front court players that really looked to stretch the floor continuously throughout the game. So the three-point line's huge. Notre Dame, you just look at where their point distribution is coming from. It's coming from the three. And they have a lot of guys that aren't just okay shooters. They have a lot of great shooters. They have guys that can make them in bunches. And as a team, I think they made 35 threes in their last two wins versus Detroit and UCLA. So the three-point line, that's going to come down to being a huge storyline in the game. Can you defend the three? And it's kind of like I said, you're going to do a good job in the areas you can control. You're not going to shut them down from getting a lot off. But you have to do some things that require intelligence and communication and some smarts. And that's a big deal coming into this game with Notre Dame, because if they hit the three and they're not turning it over, they're going to be tough to beat.
I guess, where's Devontae at from a recovery standpoint, and based on if you'll have him or not, how does that impact you guys' offense against Notre Dame?
Devontae's fine. He's worked his way back into practice here middle of the week. I would say he's not 100%. He's dealing with some soreness, Achilles stuff, hamstring stuff from early in the year, so his lower body's kind of sore. He did practice yesterday, so barring any setbacks here, he should be available. Depending on how the game goes, we'll see what he can do. If he's not available, we play who is available. That's just how it is. I'm not sure it impacts what we do a whole lot other than our depth in the backcourt, which we need. We have to find a way to get those guys to play as a unit together. Armand and Rob, Devontae and Al being the true ball handlers, perimeter players. Those four guys as a unit, you have to evaluate them almost as a unit during the game. How are they playing assisted turnover, shot selection, and then defensively, how are they defending? Those are key elements coming into the mid part of our year, and as we keep growing, those four guys. And in their defense, their rotation's been very choppy. Their practice time together has been very choppy. And as we head into this one and moving post-Christmas, hopefully we can get some time where those guys are together for quite a bit of time. This is the first time Rob's strung together continuous practice time, with his teammates. So now getting Devontae back a little bit here at the end of the week, we'd love to have the opportunity to have those four guys at tip-top shape, but right now it hasn't been that way since the start of the year. But I do expect everyone, barring today's practice, to be ready to go for tomorrow.
Yeah, Rob obviously hit a big shot in this event last year, and I know he's been set back obviously health-wise, but how do you see him continue to maybe develop his offensive assertiveness, and particularly coming off the last game where he hit a lot of big shots for you?
Well, I think Rob, if you talk to him or if you ask him, he's excited to play. He's excited to just get back. He's had a tough start to the year in terms of not being available. I think he's been chomping at the bit, so to speak, to kind of get back in the groove. He was able to establish that he's ready, and regardless of how he played, but he wanted to be available for his team going into last week. Going into Madison Square, and his minutes were valuable. He really helped us in that game early, and then he helped us in the game late. Nebraska, you're talking about a very 50-50 game. Could have went either way a lot of different times, but again, his readiness and his ability to step up and make some big plays for our team late and then in overtime was huge. And I would say that his biggest problem right now isn't his mindset or what he's trying to accomplish. His biggest challenge is conditioning. You know, he's got very few practices under his belt. He's basically getting game repetitions. That's very difficult for a player. And then you're asking him to play extended minutes, 26 minutes against Nebraska, which he's probably not ready to handle that amount of minutes in a row late in the game and then the entire overtime. I think he was fatigued. But I think you see that he's not afraid of the big moment. He hasn't been since he's been here. He's been ready to step up to the plate, so to speak, from day one. And, you know, knock on wood, he stays healthy. He'll continue to get back. But he's confident right now. I don't look at him as saying, boy, I don't feel good or I'm not confident. I think his health is good. I think his mindset is good. And I think, yeah, he's going to go through some rhythm and some ups and downs, you know, on the floor with some mistakes and whatnot, some of which will be timing, some of which will be conditioning. But I don't think that right now, as we view him or he views himself, that he's not ready to play. So that's a big thing for our team. He's a big, integral part to what we do. And as he gets his legs and his feet back under him and the soreness out of his body, you know, hopefully this is a good week for him to practice. He's got a game, he's got Christmas, and then he comes back with one more opportunity before the Big Ten as we hit January.
Coach, you mentioned how this week off can help you guys physically, and with the way that the schedule has kind of escalated recently, is this having a week on either side of the Crossroads Class, does that also help kind of catching some balance mentally as well? It's
tough, you know, you can use it any which way you want, but it was a mentally taxing week for us as we approached the Florida State game. You head to Wisconsin, you have a very difficult travel schedule coming to and from New York City, and then on a short turnaround you got a Big Ten home game that you got to be ready for, which went into overtime. So I think more so than anything, finishing the Nebraska game, you have to evaluate these guys on where they're at mentally. Physically, they're going to be taxed and they're going to go through a lot. But I think at this time of year, as you head to the end of November and then you head into finals, you're dealing with guys that have now been through 8 or 9 games, and sometimes it can just be mental fatigue. We've done our best this week to really kind of alleviate some of the mental fatigue. You balance that with their academic schedule, and sometimes that plays a big role into it and what they're dealing with in school and the amount of time they have to put in for their testing. But I think, you know, we've tried to break the week up, and we've tried to alleviate it where you know, we're giving them the time they need. We're also working, and I think this has been a less taxing week on us physically, and hopefully as you get finished with tests today and you take a deep breath as you head into tomorrow, you're relaxed and you're freed of the school part of things, and now you can go. You got to get better at this time of year, and I think as a coach you really try to say, boy, we got a lot of time here, and we really want to get better, and at the end of the day you're dealing with fatigued minds and you're dealing with guys that got a lot on their plate here. So once you finish with this, you kind of head into that post-Christmas time, and then you head into early January. I think that's a time when your team can kind of reboot and get back to work practice-wise and settle into their game routine. But, you know, as a coach, you're anxious, you want to play, you want to get better. As a player, you got a lot going on, you wish you had more time to yourself. So, you know, as we head in here, our schedule has a break in it where, you know, we kind of hit finals, play a huge game against Notre Dame, got Christmas break right on the heels, and then you come back and you have a huge home non-conference game against Arkansas before the end. So there's some time here for our team to kind of regroup, but I think more mentally than anything is to stay fresh and positive and, you know, keep getting better.
Mike and Zach.
John Mooney, I think, leads the country in rebounding. What makes him so tough in that part of the game?
Well, I think, number one, he's a very experienced player. I think great rebounders have a knack for the ball, which he does. He also adds the element of great motor. He plays hard all the time, so he's going after it on both ends of the floor. He's not one of those rebounders that's you know, up over the top of you. So, you know, he's angles, he's smelling the ball. He goes and gets balls with 2 hands too. He's a great 2-hand rebounder. You know, he's got, you know, mitts, so to speak. When the ball hits his hands, you know, it's his ball. And to lead America in rebounding, I don't think that a lot of people understand how hard that is. 13 rebounds a game is just an astonishing number. He's almost at 4 a game on the offensive end of the floor for him as well. He's an all-ACC caliber player. He's had a great career. You know, to me, as he plays effectively and he does his thing, you know, he gives them a chance every night. So, special player, got to try and do your best to keep him off the offensive glass the best you can. Because he can shoot the ball, he deals with a lot of switching at times. So he has guards on him because he can shoot the ball. It's to his advantage, you know, to rebound against mismatches at times. I think he gets you there a little bit. Without question, he's as productive as a player as there is in the country, game in and game out.
Okay, last question, Zach.
Those 4 guys that do a lot of the ball handling, Devontae, Rob, Al, Armon,
I know you haven't really been able to think about them as a group because of the injuries the last couple of months, but in an ideal world, what do you want that rotation to look like most nights? Is it 2? Is it 3? If you can get all 4 of those guys healthy, kind of where do you want that to be distributed?
It's a good question. You know, me personally, I've taken a step back and really tried to identify that position group. I think you look at them as almost like a football team where you have your DBs, your line. That's our guard. That's our backcourt group. And, you know, I've taken some steps myself to meet with those guys as a quartet, so to speak. We haven't had them all together. Now that they are, how do they play off of one another, and how do they make guys better is a huge thing for our team. Our guard play isn't so much about scoring as it is as much about ball handling and assisted turnovers. You know, right now, if you look at our assisted turnover as a group, it's not where it needs to be as a backcourt that's heading into the thick of Big Ten play. I think the assisted turnover ratio is a huge element to how well they play. They don't have to score to play well. That's my message to them. Add that into the defensive side of the ball. We've got to do a better job of holding our own in terms of defending the other team's backcourt one-on-one. It can't always be about the team defense or, you know, how much help are you getting. Sometimes our guards have to do a good job or a better job of defending the ball and defending their man one-on-one. I think those are 2 huge things for our team. And, you know, if we're winning, we're going to get good guard play. If we're not winning, a big attribute to not winning is not getting good guard play. And that doesn't mean making threes, and that doesn't mean scoring a lot of points. That means as a quartet, as a group, their floor game on offense, making guys better, assisted turnover, and then their floor game on defense in terms of not only one-on-one, but a commitment as a group to defend the other team's backcourt in a better fashion. Getting Rob back and getting him more minutes helps both of them, and it alleviates some pressure from some of the other ones. They can all play together. There's going to be some times, maybe, where we have 3 of them on the floor in special situations, press offense, zone offense, end the game. I think typically we need to be a bigger team to do what we need to do. But without question, all of them are going to play a big role in the impact of our team. And as I look at them and evaluate the group, not the individual player per game, it's the group. What are we getting from them in terms of making their teammates better? And what are we getting from them on the other end of the floor in terms of being rock solid defensively and being able to hold their own? Those are 2 areas, assisted turnover and defensive responsibility. If those 2 areas are pretty good on a game-in, game-out basis, I can say that our guards are doing a nice job. And at times we've really done a nice job. We've had 1 or 2 guys in a game in, game out, you know, play well. We haven't really had them in sync where all 4 guys are really doing a really good job in those areas where I can say to myself, like, wow, look at the guard play. You know, we had, you know, double-figure assists, double-figure defensive rebounds, and we didn't get blitzed off the bounce a ton in this game. We held our own. So I think that's, as a coaching staff, and me in particular, as we value them, as we continue to teach them what this team needs, I would say that's the stress of those 4. And they play as big of a role in us winning as it comes, and I'm just trying to get them to understand it doesn't have a lot to do with the amount of shots or buckets that they get as much as it does with the other areas that they can contribute in as a group, as a quartet. And I think, you know, make no mistake, I view it as important as any aspect to our team, is the development of those 4 guys and the consistency that they bring in terms of solid play on both ends of the floor in those areas.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Yep, thank you.